Welcome to Season 3 of Grocery from Her Seat, the Women Grocers of America podcast. This season, you will hear from influential CEOs and industry icons to rising stars and game-changing entrepreneurs. We are bringing you bigger conversations with bolder voices you won't hear anywhere else. Every episode is packed with leadership tips, fresh strategies, and grocery insights for store owners and operators, as well as product and service providers. Grocery from Her Seat is where inspiration fuels action. Now, let's dive into another episode of Grocery from Her Seat, powered by the NGA Foundation and hosted by WGA President Kristin Popp.
I am your host, Kristin Popp, and today I have the opportunity to chat with Natalija Paldrmic, Chief Growth Officer with Circle the Wagon. Welcome to Grocery from Her Seat, Natalija, and thank you so much for sharing your time with us today.
Thank you, Kristin. I'm excited and delighted to be part of this chat.
So, Natalija, as we start, let's first talk about Circle the Wagon. Can you give an overview of the business?
Yeah, it's a mouthful. We do a lot. But I think the easiest way to help folks understand the work that we do, think of Circle the Wagons as a boutique consulting agency, very focused on the retail sector, grocery predominantly, but we do work with C-stores and specialty, some other channels, but again, around the grocery and retail industry in general. And unlike kind of the big sort of consulting firms, ours is much more curated, more hands-on, and again, very industry specific. But it's a lot of fun. We get to work on lots of different projects and groundbreaking brands and things, that today people think are radical, that are going to be household things, in a handful of years.
I love all the different brands that you represent and how you position that as a boutique. I haven't heard you say that before, so that's perfect. So let's chat about your role within Circle the Wagon, Chief Growth Officer. What does that all entail? And if there even is such a thing, what does your day-to-day look like?
Great question. Overall, it's creating the big picture growth plan in tandem with our amazing board. Our CEO, Barton, as you know, he is something special. So it's a lot of focus on new revenue streams, new partnerships, potentially developing new markets. So again, anything centered around growth. Most of it is aligning what the industry really needs. So we listen very closely to retailers in one-on-one conversations, also from events like the National Grocers Association Executive Conference. Barton is part of ROFTA, a bunch of associations, and we sort of lean into, okay, what is the industry saying they need help with, and how can we be a part of that? So I think I have an amazing role. I get to go out and kind of hunt for these opportunities and create these connections on a day-to-day basis. I mean, it's everything you can think of in a small group. We're under 10 people based in Houma, Louisiana. I'm outside of Chicago.
I want to take some time and talk about your path into grocery, because as we have these conversations, I find that everybody has a different path to how they landed in the grocery industry. So what roles have you held, and how did you land where you are today? If you can kind of give us your journey throughout the industry.
Sure. I wish I could say that when I started this path, it was a very strategic decision. It really was a total fluke. I was going to school down in Fort Lauderdale. There was this business that was hiring for marketing coordinators and doing something, again, very radical, the early days of loyalty marketing software and standing up loyalty marketing programs, in specifically in grocery with chains, frankly, some of them that don't even exist today, like Big Bear. And by the way, that business, back then it was called Advanced Promotion Technologies. I was a marketing coordinator, administrative assistant, print shop helper, whatever it took. And how I got to know the grocery industry. That business is some of the players, some of the folks that are part of that business, as well as some of the software and the programs, still exist today under AppCard. So AppCard's acquired multiple acquisitions of pieces of that business. So that was my first step into the grocery industry. And I was a little bit like, I don't know, leaf in the wind. It wasn't sort of targeted and said, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to go out and, bring groundbreaking brands and solutions into grocery. So I wound up working for Coinstar, joined pre-IPO, and we ended up creating a huge portfolio, very akin to what we're doing here at Circle the Wagons, of consumer services. Think kiosk, everything from Coinstar to Redbox, Eco ATM, the first top-up prepaid unattended retail units, just a plethora of services for the front of a grocery store. And in fact, the business ended up rebranding as the outer wall and the fourth wall. We really wanted to own everything in that space, including things like gumball machines and kitty rides. And getting exposure to these different services, from fintech to DVD rental to coffee, serving up brewed coffee solutions. I got to learn about a lot of different industries and a lot of different categories. So one thing led to another.
Yeah, I like how you describe how you happened into the industry, and how you've created your path and stayed in the industry throughout your journey. What's inspired you to stay?
Yes, in my early days in the grocery industry, it was not really connected or recognized as being sort of this very innovative industry. And I actually found it the opposite, but I think really the burden is on startups and vendors or suppliers. It really was sort of on our shoulders to help build that education and that comfort for retailers to try new things. And if you educate grocery operators specifically on it, they embrace it, and that openness, that's been fun for me as somebody that looks to bring in the new or the latest and greatest.
Well, you hit it too. It's definitely been an evolution, and I think it's advancing faster now than it obviously ever has, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with as well. So throughout your journey, Natalija, you talked about the different path that you took to get into the industry and how you've kind of stayed along that. What are some of the things that you've learned along the way?
The biggest things are really how to be an invaluable helper, consultant, problem solver to businesses, both on the brand and consumer services or vendor supplier side, but also to the retailer. Because really, at the end of the day, the reason things change, the reason we change as humans, is we're trying to solve a problem. We're more motivated by, frankly, I think, the stick and the carrot sometimes, to embrace change and to make it happen. Sometimes things need to get sort of painful for us to really affect things. And for me, the biggest learning has been creating comfort around being uncomfortable, looking for ways to solve problems. My CEO, Barton, loves to talk about it as, from his law enforcement days, as looking for a case to solve and solving a case. And I think that's a good way to put it.
I like how he phrases that, and I've heard him say that in previous discussions. And and to your point too, you couple that with stepping outside of your comfort zone to sometimes find those solutions is how we continue to grow. And both of those are very powerful. So again, throughout all of our careers, throughout all of our paths forward, we all have mentors of some shape or form, or those who have inspired us along our journeys. Who are some that have helped you navigate the industry in your path?
Wow, there's a lot of people that would fall into that box. I've been really fortunate to work for predominantly male leaders that have been really supportive, and again, bringing me into the conversations, creating opportunities for me to learn and to build and develop new muscles. They've been, models for me as well. My background, my childhood, I'm a blue collar, steel workers kid from the south side of Chicago. And first gen growing up in the United States. We grew up partially overseas as well in former Yugoslavia, and then aspiring to be in this fast moving industry and this sort of white collar world, kind of straddling, those two worlds. And when I say like literally the old world ways and traditions with embracing new things, I think all of my leaders throughout my career have really encouraged that. And I have to pay homage to you, and Anita from NGA has been amazing just to see how you guys navigate what I do every day, which is how do you serve the members in the industry. And I think that's paramount to me in the business that we do, is creating those relationships and seeing how you guys navigate that and balance that. That's been a huge influence and help on me.
And relationships, I mean, the industry and everything that we talk about, but the foundation of everything is the relationships that we build, whether it's with our partners, our customers, our teammates, whatever, but relationships is really what it is all built on. And so navigating those and using those effectively to support each other is very powerful within this industry specifically.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And people may sort of move around in different places, but it's a very tight group, a tight circle, if I may say.
No, it is. And you've actually heard, we hear the industry events and, things like the NGA show, that it's the big family reunion for the independents, because it almost feels like that. And, to your point, you see a lot of the same faces, and they may not be with the same organizations, but they're still in the industry as a whole, which is really cool. I think it speaks volumes to how just great of an industry it is to stay in.
It's true. It is a special club.
So let's talk challenges as we shift a little bit here. We all face them, but what are some of the common challenges that you see leaders facing today?
Enjoying this episode of Grocery from Her Seat? Join us for the WGA Sync Up, a virtual event designed for women in the grocery industry and our allies. This workshop, happening May 8th from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern Time, is a great opportunity to sync up with your goals, your network, and your growth. Learn more about leading with your values and discover the Radical Candor framework for providing feedback with empathy and impact. Register for free today through ngafoundation.org. We hope to see you there.
I mean, it's the proverbial sort of balancing all the commitments, all the obligations, both professionally and personally. I like to think about it like in the frame of a shopper. I mean, these days the shopper, she's taking care of children and pets and parents and a job, and we're all juggling a lot of things. So I think that's the biggest piece of it, is not just the prioritizing work, but being really deliberate about where you invest the time and sort of weighting the priorities. I've never been in the shoes of grocery operators. I've sat across from boardroom tables, conference tables, et cetera, from them. I've never been in the shoes, but just even from the outside looking in, having a lot of conversations with grocery operators, the consumer is so demanding. And so I think it's a struggle that is beyond the industry. It's just, kind of the norm in our world and our lifestyles. Things are just moving really, really fast. That's the biggest piece. And then how do you take a breath, figure out where do I apply my time and energy and stay focused? It's tough.
It is tough, and it's just a challenging landscape with everything that's going on and what the consumer has faced over the last 5-6 years. And then you look across different generations and different shopping habits and behaviors and platforms that they want to use, and just understanding across everything where that shopper is at, and then trying to navigate how do you capture all of that by maintaining a focus and staying on your strategic plan. So it definitely is an interesting time to operate, but keeps us driving forward. There's never a dull moment, right, Natalija?
Oh, true. So true.
So you were very involved in the industry through just the organizations that you're involved in. What is one of the programs or initiatives that you see or hope will have a big impact on the industry, not only today, but into the future?
Yeah, I think it probably falls in the buckets of what we just heard at the NGA Executive Conference, sort of the top 5 priorities for retailers. This sort of bucket of profit optimization, profit enhancement, profit improvement through things like finding cost savings. So that's becoming a big pillar of our portfolio. We have several brand partners, service partners, consultants, advisors that work in that scope and really helping retailers hone in on how can we create efficiencies and cost savings and better productivity, per square foot. There's just so many things that can go on the selling floor. And I think what excites me is being able to go to retailers and talk about it and that impact. Not just, hey, put this new brand in on this shelf or put this new service in, but, speak to, again, what came out as one of the top 5, topics, as unsexy as it is, like managing costs. And there's a lot that goes into that piece, but I think that's been really exciting and received really well, where retailers are like, yeah, I do need to relook at some of these things.
Well, and I think a lot of that went by the wayside as we were navigating through a pandemic and trying to just operate and stay afloat. And then you come out of that and then you're faced with a lot of different challenges, whether it's supply issues or increasing energy costs or whatever that looks like for you and for the consumer, not just for the operator, but also for the consumer. They're faced with a lot of different challenges as well. So how do you navigate that to still drive value, but also offer the product and at a good cost that still allows you to be an operator, right? So
yeah, small feat. Yeah.
So you mentioned the NGA Executive Conference, you've mentioned RAFTA, you've mentioned a couple different groups. What role do you feel that those organizations play in the industry in helping the success of the industry forward?
I think because they listen to their membership, again, both the operator and the businesses, the vendors, suppliers that want to serve that industry and serve that consumer, that they have this umbrella viewpoint that they understand and relate to what retailers are going through and what suppliers and vendors and consultants and so forth are going through. So that purview puts NGA, RAFTA, any of these associations in this kind of unique spot where they can see all these point of views and connect and create those connections, create those bridges. And I think it's vital. And then they can also see sort of the trends and the common struggles and how to go, okay, we're actually in the same boat on some of these things, that, whatever type of business you are, you're trying to solve for today's consumer. So I think, my perspective is that visibility is really, unique. They see it from all sides.
Very true, very true, very powerful to bring that voice together, and then work to find a solution as a whole, versus everybody, and how are we working together to solve some of those problems and find that path forward that's going to be most effective and continue to drive us to success in the future.
Well, you said it more eloquently, so I want to revise my answer to what you just said.
So, Natalija, as we were prepping for this conversation, and you kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier in the conversation, but one thing that was interesting to me while we were preparing for this was something that's not on your resume that you were proud of. Can you share that?
I am an avid traveler. I'm not sure that avid is strong enough adjective for it, but my late father was a huge traveler. We were definitely on a blue collar family budget, but we camped all over creation in the United States and then overseas, a lot of camping, fishing, even by the time I left for school, and it stayed with me. So I treat myself to kind of a unique birthday gift. I give myself a new country that I explore solo for my birthday, at least one every year. And I'm up to 72. And by the way, I'm not 72 years old. But I give myself to one every birthday. It started off kind of as a way to prove my bravery, and because someone told me that I couldn't. I love sort of learning new things and exploring new areas, the new sights, sounds, smells, people, new cultures. And I think that's why I love the work that I do. I get to do kind of that, and it's all part of my DNA to learn about new businesses and new experiences and how people do things differently in different places, is one of my joys. So yeah, I'm up to country 72. I'm pretty darn proud of that. I'm not sure I'm going to hit all 196 before, but I'm going to make sure I get as darn close as I can.
Okay. Wow. First of all, that is incredible. I would have to agree. I don't know that Avid truly captures the full passion that you have around that. And I'm sure you've learned so much along that whole journey. Is there anything that's specific? Like, is there like one nugget that you pulled out that has stuck with you that you use on the day to day?
Yeah, I think it's what it's taught me, particularly doing my trips solo, is to really be observant. So when you're by yourself, like you're absorbing around you, you're having conversations with strangers, and kind of letting things sort of naturally, organically develop without this sort of agenda. And that's what I love. Like, that's why I like to do it solo. Like, if I'm feeling like having, cake for breakfast, I'm going to have cake for breakfast, and just kind of, kind of flying by the seat of my pants is how I do my travel. I have a bit of an agenda of things that I target that I want to do, but the rest is sort of being open and we joked, I think earlier, taking those exits off the expressway because oh, wow, that looks kind of cool. So I think the way that that's translated for me in my role and what's maybe given me an edge, and I think also is an edge for CTW, for Circle the Wagons, is that it's not this fixed agenda. Like, here is a product and a service that we're, marketing and representing. It is let's just explore and let's really listen and observe and kind of go, oh, okay, that's interesting. That wasn't a dot I was going to connect. That's that edge to, just sort of being open to whatever happens. And my favorite memories are literally the ones where nothing was planned, completely random, and it turned into, something, really, really special.
We may need to start a whole separate series on your travel and what you've learned and all the memories, and see the world through Natalia's eyes. I think that would be incredible.
Very kind of you. Yes. And I would love, and by the way, ever need a tour guide. If I wasn't doing what I'm doing today, I don't know, I might have been a travel planner, coordinator, or something like that.
I'm sure you could figure out a path to it, though. Now, Natalija, do you have any advice that we haven't touched on that you would give somebody that's either aspiring to join the industry or continue advancing their career in grocery?
I think the best advice I could say is don't sort of fit into a box or try to fit into a box. And by that, I mean, look at the issues or the problems or the opportunities from, a fresh perspective. It's really exciting to see how many young professionals, for example, there were at the WGA symposium, and how they think about, the same things, the same problems. That would be my encouragement to people coming into this industry is don't rush too fast into sort of conforming with how things are done, and ask a lot of questions about how they could be done. Not to say dismiss everything that's worked and just stand everything on its head, but over time, I think all of us sort of wind up doing a little bit of things out of habit, or this is how, we've done it. It's really hard to just kind of keep yourself in track and not, rinse, repeat too often. But yeah, I guess don't, try not to fit into a box.
Yeah, I love that advice. So as we look to wrap up, I'm going to throw a little curveball at you. If you were writing a book or creating a podcast about the industry today, what would the title be?
Yeah, toughie. There's so much that goes on in our industry. There's a lot of conversation around stomach share and, at one point sort of restaurants and things were considered competitors, and now there's like shifting even of that. But largely, think about the purpose of grocery stores. It's about bringing products and meals and things home. So, it would be one of two. What we bring home and maybe what we take home, meaning not just the products, the experiences, the lessons, that we take home. But I think it is about that, to me. And I think that's important for conversation. It's what drives what do we serve up to the consumer in this, brick and mortar or this digital experience delivery or what have you. So it's pretty broad.
Well, no, but it is, right? I mean, it is a very broad topic, and I love how you include things like experience and lessons because while it's grocery, there's a lot more included. So I look forward to reading your book.
Thanks.
So, Natalija, thank you so much for sharing your story and your voice with us today. I appreciate everything you're doing for the grocery industry. Keep leading, keep inspiring, and I look forward to following the impact you will continue to make.
Well, likewise, Kristin. Thank you. This was so much fun.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. I hope it sparked ideas, inspiration, and a reminder of the impact you make every day. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss a conversation, and consider leaving a review to help others discover Grocery from Her Seat. With gratitude, making a difference, one story at a time.
Thank you for listening to today's insightful interview on the Grocery from Her Seat podcast. If you think someone should hear her story, please share this podcast with a friend. You don't want to miss any episodes this season, so be sure to subscribe. And remember, more people will hear about stories of her success if you like, follow, and leave a 5-star review. Episodes are sponsored by NGA, hosted by WGA President Kristin Popp, and published by Rachel Milo with SWA Marketing. Until next time, continue your great work in the independent grocery industry.